manage them. We will do it. So, one moment, just give me also just a moment, because the same thing will happen again. So, I think now we got it. Yes, yes, now, so dear friends, welcome to Body Language and Travel Show. Today with us is an amazing and passionate coach about reflection, about collective insights from group and team coaching. She's living now in Sydney, in Australia. She's born Thai-born and she's a confused Indian and lived in Singapore and now in Sydney. It is my colleague in Mega Symposium 3, Aurawan, Sachaphornskul. I know that I might mispronounce your name. I'm truly sorry if I did like that. I know in some cultures a little bit embarrassed. And I'm so happy. She's a unique personality, a unique coach. I was participating in her session to learn more about emotions, to learn more about feelings, about hooks and hijacks. My friends, please welcome Aurawan Sachaphornskul. Welcome. Thank you. It is an honor to be here next to me in my channel. Thank you so much.
Hi, Roxani. Thank you so much for having me here, and all good with the name. I am absolutely okay with how it is pronounced. It's very well received. Thank you for having me here again.
Thank you, Coach. I want to share with our audience few of your credentials, because I couldn't, it's a big paper, I couldn't write them all. I will have a look to my notes because I don't to miss anything. ICF certified professional, individuals, groups and team coach, founder of Innerlution, program director Australia, and coach training facilitator of Ignite, Global Professional Coach Mastery, certification training program, and as well, team development specialist, over 18 years of experience working with global organizations, certified customer experience. Please, companies, corporators, contact our coach. Professional as well, project management, and more and more and more, and above and beyond the character, the personality, the ethos of this coach. So let's get started. We need to observe, to take all the information, to take knowledge from you to learn. What is the first question? It is, what is your take of emotion, or on emotions? What is your takes on emotion? Let's start from this basic.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction and really honoring my credentials as well, Roxani. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm happy to take the first question because it is very close to my heart. Emotions has always been something I have been very curious about. So going back a long way, there was a point where I didn't understand, why I would feel a lot. And there is a lot of feelings inside me, and I would be called emotional a lot of time in the past. So when I would think of that, it's very normal for us to associate emotions to being emotional. So for me, that was really very mysterious. It was only until last year when I actually started learning more and more about emotions. And that's why I'm very passionate about it. And like you rightly pointed out, I've actually spent a lot of time going through a lot of materials out there. So of course, I am not a scientist. I don't have a PhD. I don't have a master degree in neuroscience or brain science by any means. So if I'm sharing the knowledge that I have gathered, it is mostly from other scientists and other neuroscientists all around who have talked about. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there as well. It's absolutely, so emotions are actually extremely complex. Like we human being, it's very hard to exclude emotion in anything that we do in our life. Because if we were to think about anything, you can't think of any activity that we do in a day that doesn't involve emotion, whether it is you working or you're, like right now, it's an emotionful conversation we are having, as well as, when you're walking your dog, you are taking a bath, you're cooking, you're cleaning the house, you're reading a book, you're doing something. There is always an active involvement of emotion. So my take on emotion is that it is really a very, very integral part of our living. It is who we are, actually.
Yes, it is who we are. We behave, we act. Our everyday nanosecond has to do with emotions. We came here to experience emotions. I totally agree with you 100%. So now let's carry on to this beautiful brain, human brain. Let's go there to visit the three parts of the brain. Let's visit the reptilian, primitive, and emotional brain, and of course the frontal lobe, the logical brain. I want you to give us a more deeper understanding about the emotional brain and how this will contribute to thoughts and actions, to see some connection here about emotional brain, thoughts and actions.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Roxanne. Absolutely. So as we all know this, that we crawled out of water, as reptile. So that's where we inherited this reptilian brain, which is the core part of our brain, which holds our fight and flight instinct. Its purpose is to regulate our body function, making sure that we are breathing and everything in our body is running as smoothly as possible. Right. And so when we hear the body is saying that, you listen to your body, the body is saying you should rest now, you're tired. It's actually your reptilian brain telling your body that it's time for you to rest. So as we started developing as species, we started growing our brain outwards. And we have the second layer to it, which is what we call the limbic brain, or also the emotional brain. What's so amazing about the limbic or emotional brain is it's unconscious. Everything that happens and we don't know about, it's inside that limbic house. So everything which is unconscious, our experience and memories that goes back and gets stored and connected to that emotions that were created. It's also an emotion hub. It's where all the emotions come out from. So that is part of the limbic brain. Then what makes us human, a very distinctive species in comparison to other mammals out there, is the neocortex, which is the external part of our brain, where we have our conscious house, our rational, or we also call it the thinking or the logical brain, right? That conscious house of language development, the skills we learn, experiences, we process it, we think before we say something. It's all done in that neocortex brain. And all these three parts of the brain are interconnected in a way that they have to communicate with each other in some way. So this is why we say that emotions are actually connected to our actions and our thoughts, because when something gets triggered from your emotional brain and goes to your conscious brain or neocortex or the logical brain, we start to think. And based on what we think, we take action. Sometimes we don't think and we still take action, which makes it really fascinating. And that's what emotions actually do. Now, I also read this, and again, this content, like I said, it's from a book that I read. It's on emotional intelligence coaching. And in that book, the author also described that as the technology advanced, there were some MRIs, a lot of MRIs, which can check the activity of the brain. What's fascinating is in 1 second, the emotional brain can produce up to 6 billion nerve cells in 1 second. Whereas if you compare that to the neocortex or our conscious brain, it's only 100. So 6 billion versus 100 in 1 second. We can see how powerful our emotional brain is. It's extremely crucial in every single thing that we do. So, yeah, that's
this
the structure.
Is major importance, because then we see that at this point that humanity is, the emotion plays so crucial role, and we have to create, in order to give a little bit more power to the rationality and to the thought, we need to enhance our habits, to check our habits, our everyday life, in order to help the logical brain to, if we are so extremely driven from our emotions, yes, then we have a little bit to be more conscious in everyday life of what we'll do, or what to do a reflection trip at night, what we did in the morning, in order to help and support our actions, our habits, and our results. Sophia is joining us. It's a friend of mine. She will be here to our beautiful interview. Welcome, Sophia. And I also want to see and to tell me the differentiation. What is the difference between emotions and feelings? Because a lot of people, they are getting confused.
Okay.
Others, they think that it is exactly the same, that it is one thing, emotions and feelings. And what is the differentiation? Just to help us, to give us your knowledge here, to start slowly understanding that there is a difference, and how to recognize emotion from feelings.
Absolutely. That's actually where it all started for me, to be honest. My whole journey into emotions and learning more about it came from this having an understanding of what is emotion and what is feeling, and how they are actually differentiated. It's very interesting. Emotions happens. We have 6 core emotions that science has classified. There is joy, there is fear, there is anger, there is disgust, there is surprise, and there is sadness.
Demonstrate a few of them. So this is the happiness.
Joy, yes.
Let's see some disgust here.
Yeah, disgust.
Yes. Let me see some fear here.
Yeah.
Because the recognition of emotions on the face, subconscious, drive our communication. So we need here people to understand that the emotions are coming out to our face, to our expression, and this influence the result of our communication in any communication and negotiation. So we have to be conscious about our expressiveness and emotions. So just to enhance and
thank you for sharing that, because absolutely, I mean, if you don't mind sharing that joy picture again.
Of course.
And you will see that when you look at this person, a lot of
joy.
Not everybody would consider that as joy. They might say, oh, she looks happy, or she looks excited, or she looks delightful, or she looks like she is on top of the world, and she has this big smile on her face. So you see, we already, with that one expression of hers, like he looks he looks very, very joyful, and like very, very happy about something, right? So you see that we can use so many words to describe what one person is feeling. That's the feeling. However, what is the core emotion there? It's joy. The feeling comes from joy. So I actually invite, I've read this somewhere, heard this somewhere, not my own metaphor, but emotion is like a tree that comes out from our brain, right? Our limbic brain. We have like this 6 tree, and each tree has like branches and leaves, and those branches and leaves are actually the feelings. So what happens is our limbic brain is where our emotions are originated from. What it does is it sends the message to our neocortex or thinking brain, and also the body, that when this emotion is being experienced, this is what you make sense of it, and this is how you are going to act of it. So let me start with some core differences between emotions and feelings. Like I said, emotion it happens in the limbic brain. Feelings happen in the thinking, logical brain. Emotions, when it happens, it is usually very intense. You have very little or almost no control over your emotion. For example, if you're faced in front of a lion, I know I wouldn't be able to stand it. So fear would come in, right? So yes. I would feel fearful, and without me even realizing, I would just run away.
Yes.
Similarly, sometimes when you're very angry, you say something you don't really mean.
Yes.
You don't know what you're saying, because what happened there is your emotional brain has just sent a direct message to your body and said, you turn red now. You feel the flush on your face. And then the logical brain has been thrown off the grid, has no idea what to do. And it just starts saying, blah, 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 that came to mind. And this is how we react. So with emotions, it's very intense. We sometimes cannot control it. Most of the time, we cannot control the emotions. But how, when we use our thinking brain to step in, we can choose to give meaning to that emotion differently. So, for example, I'm really angry right now, right? How I choose to react in that situation is where my thinking brain would come in. So, this is emotion. Feelings, however, they are not very intense. And unlike emotion, which can happen for a very short period of time, feelings can be very short, or it can go on for years and years and years and years. For example, you've lost someone very close to your heart. You're feeling extreme sadness, despair, like literally you're sad, you're grieving, your tears are flowing, and sometimes you don't even know why you're crying because the loss is so intense. It happens the first day, 2 days, 3 days, and then you are able to gather yourself. Next time somebody talks about it again, you still experience that very strong emotion, but it becomes less intense with time. However, that sadness can become worry, can become depression, which are the feelings. And they can be 1 day, 5 days, 10 years, 20 years. We have control over our feelings. We have control in the sense of how we want to feel things, how our mind wants to feel things. So this is another difference between emotions and feelings.
So we have this power to choose our state of mind somehow. We choose. We can have this. It's very interesting to know. That's why there are a lot of rituals or a lot of tools that can help you to do this, to example and to be the observer first, and then to start controlling the feelings in order slowly all the intensity of the emotion to be more manageable. How we could, if you could share with us maybe one tool, how we could, what is your suggestion or your take on that, how we could improve, let's say, the management of our feelings, how we do maybe a process, a procedure, how we do things like that. It is the reflection journey that I said before, or something else that you could propose to us to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. We have so many tools out there for us to really understand and work with emotions. One of them, which we all have heard of and we know is very, very powerful, is emotional intelligence. Basically, being able to identify the emotion and have that awareness about what is happening to you. Because we have established we don't have control over our emotions. It's going to come. But what happens next is in your control. So when you are able to become aware of your own emotions, you become aware of somebody else's emotion. In combination, you work and then you regulate your emotion or what you're feeling to facilitate the growth of the other person. So this is a positive psychology definition of emotional intelligence, which I really, really like. It's awareness of your emotion, awareness of the other person's emotion, you being able to regulate your own emotion to facilitate the growth of others in that process.
Yes.
So that's definitely one of the tools that we can look at.
Intelligence. Yes.
Yeah.
I totally. This is one. Yes. So we manage ourselves, then we learn to manage others. We observe. We have the self-awareness. This is growth and expansion also to our personal development. Yeah. Now let's carry on without hijacks and hooks, things that are triggered our mind and our emotions, how we can understand our emotions, how we could do these things that, and to know the emotional hijacks and the emotional hooks in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have a few more differences about emotions and feelings, which I can talk in relationship to the hijacks and the hooks as well. So, for example, emotions definitely, it doesn't vary a lot between people. So it's very clear when we say it's fear. It doesn't change. But feeling can mean different things to different people. For example, stress can be a positive motivator for someone or can really take someone into depression. Again, it's up to the interpretation because it's our thinking brain that is doing that job. Also, like we discussed that because emotions have such strong hold on our thoughts, actions, and our body sensation, what happens sometimes is we go into this hijack, the emotional hijack that happened. And again, this is a terminology that I have borrowed from another author because she has written about hijacks in her book. It's so fascinating about how quickly, when something happens as a stimulus, our response comes out so quickly. Like I use this example about myself, and I have this something to do with rice, right? Like when a rice ball falls off and the rice scatters everywhere on the floor, something triggers in my head, and then I just feel like I want to yell and I don't want to do anything. I want to drop everything. I had my 6 months old. I literally dropped him so I could go clean the floor because I couldn't stand it. So now that I know a bit about more emotion hijacks, right, I have understood that actually what happens is when something like this happens, my unconscious limbic brain starts tagging this with fear from my childhood. Like, oh, if you throw rice on the floor, if you waste rice, you will no longer have food to eat. That whole association that we have done unconsciously without knowing about it in our childhood, because it goes back a long way. It's tagged with fear. So the response that comes out is based on that fear. So it's for us to really recognize these hijacks that happens to us in our daily lives. For example, you are getting yourself a cup of coffee and someone just comes in front of you. How do you choose to react? You can say, okay, why are you doing this to me? I need my coffee. Or you could step back and say, okay, maybe you need coffee before I do. Yes. It's how you react, right? At the back of your mind, your emotions are high because you need your coffee. But how you choose to react in that situation is how you will overcome these hijacks as well. And then you also mentioned hooks. And this is again from a very fascinating book called Emotional Agility. It's the next level of emotional intelligence.
It's a hook.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because it's something that happens so naturally that we don't even realize that we fall into a pattern without realizing what happened. So if you've had a bad day at work, you come back home, you see your child doing something, you just react. You don't even think. Your brain just bypasses that thinking process because in your unconscious brain, it has already happened that this particular pattern will result in a certain way. So these are hooks. So the book called Emotional Agility is fantastic read because the author has described 4 different types of hooks that we all can fall into. Like, for example, we very easily blame other people for wrongdoings, and we also have this monkey mindedness. And then she talks about a couple of this, which are very, very fascinating because it's really what it is. It's, yes, being emotionally intelligent is extremely crucial, but at the same time, we need to be able to step up and really understand our own patterns as well. Understand that what really happens in our unconscious. I know this is a paradox, trying to understand the unconscious things which goes on, which absolutely I don't think that we'll ever be able to understand everything because it's like an iceberg. Everything it's like an iceberg. We will only be able to see or understand what is on top of the water, right? We will never be able to go deep because that's how deep our brain is. So I'm really excited that days and times that we are in right now, this can be something so fascinating. There's something new that we learn every day. And it's really, really amazing.
I like it a lot because here it is 2 new fields that are coming. It is neuroplasticity because this can help us. First, if we do the observers, if we do the self-investigation and we make the self-reflection and some patterns that they repeat and we see the negative results. So we try to find out what is happening here. So then we discover the pattern, not all the patterns, but some of the patterns. It is also a great job for a person to do. And then by having the hope of neuroplasticity, it's so amazing because you have this extremely tool, your mind, your brain, to change a habit, a pattern. But first, you have to recognize, to accept the pattern, and then to try to find out tools, and depending how this pattern it is in yourself so in depth, in order to slowly to try to eliminate this, what is happening. My lovely Aurawan, where we can find you? What is your vision? Tell me about your family. Tell me about how it is maybe your everyday life. I know what it is excited and passionate, but I want to learn more to see also my friend Aurawan, how it is things, the daily things, your habits, maybe some rituals to give us your habitual life that maybe help us to see how you are doing this, how just share a few tips and things about your everyday life, about your vision, about where we can find you.
Thank you, Roxani. That is a very humbling question because I feel that I'm not special than everybody. I feel that I'm just like, I'm as special as you are and I'm as special as everyone is. So you asking me that just makes me feel a little bit more special. So thank you for that question. And so I'm based in Sydney, like you said. I do have 2 3-ish-year-olds. So I've got twins, and I live here with them and my husband, of course. And we like, I have my family back in Thailand, my parents and my sister, and then I have, like you shared as well, I have moved around quite a bit. I've lived in Singapore. So I've always considered myself like a global citizen. My vision really is to be global and connect global, because it's so important that we are one. There is that unity. Very interestingly, I had a conversation with someone today, if you may allow me to share. She was we had a picnic for our kids day today. And this lady, she is from Papua Guinea, PNG, the country, and she's of a Chinese background. And we were talking about, like, she was so fascinated about, multicultural, because her husband's a European, and my husband is from Europe as well. So, we talked about this whole multicultural aspect of it. And, we're seeing that the children are all beginning to look alike now. So, this is so fascinating, because this whole multiculturalism is also opening up a possibility that we all are going to look alike again one day. We all, it's going to create that uniformity in the way we all look, and nobody will ever have to go through racism. Nobody will ever have to go through being bullied for looking different. So that was something that came up to me today, and it was really, really close to my heart. And I really wish that we have a world where our children don't have to grow up and unlearn things like what we have to do. So they are reflecting as they're growing. They are being raised consciously. So that, at least that's my aim with my children anyways. I want to make sure, I want, as a coach, I really would love to institute some of these reflections into their daily lives, to really, get them to shine, to live to their own potential, and not really being stuck, and not really question who they are, and not lack that purpose. And I wish that it happens to every single child in this world. So being a coach really enables you to have that vision, and one person at a time we do. And it's always a positive outcome at the end of the day. So thank you for that question as well.
Where we can find you, if a corporate or if a person that now see or he will see us now in this live or later, because it is on YouTube, how we can reach you, how we can find you. I will upload, of course, some details, but you are based in Sydney. We can do also live and Zooms online, I suppose. Yes. We can reach you from Greece, from all over planet. You are a global, we are all global citizens, I totally confirm.
Yes.
And we want to live our potential. Yes, this is also, I resonate, your vision resonate totally with me, and how you put all and you say together. Let's see what our Sophia share now in our chat box. Both of you are amazing, lovely. Positive, energizing. Yes, also give us knowledge. Thank you so much, Sophia, for sharing this. Thank you for your kind words. And we're having an amazing Aurawan with us. So many great experience in coaching and so many insights. It was an honor. All the session, I don't know if you want to share something else that we might miss. I like the part of the emotions, our trees on our brains, and the branches and the leaves are the feelings. So if we want for the people to have this great understanding, this imaginary picture, I think, can help you to understand in depth, because this is a depth. In this image, you can have in depth the meaning of everything. So this, imagine the trees. I think you will do something amazing right now.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to quickly share?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Let me share. Are you able to see my screen, Roxanne?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so this is what our emotions look like. Like each tree represents a core emotion, and the leaves that come out from each tree are actually the feelings that we talked about. And if I was to give a better description of that, is if we were to look at these two core emotions that has been differentiated. So you look at joy, the sense of joy, the experience of joy gives excitement, happiness, delightfulness. This is my feeling at the moment, right? I'm feeling on top of the world. This is pleasure, this is elation, this is exhilaration. It is a great sense of having that feelings to support the emotion joy. At the same time, if you will look at fear, Like, for example, when I was preparing for symposium, I went through this fear moment, right? Where everything was terrifying. I ran into panic. I started associating it with avoidance and phobia. And I started resenting and thinking like, oh my God, the last time when I delivered a presentation, how miserably it was. Yeah, everything just comes back to you when that emotion fear is present. So this is where the differences kind of lie when you look at emotions and feelings at the same time. And just to reiterate what I talked about earlier, emotions are very black and white, and feelings are really up to how our rational mind or the neocortex rationalizes the context of the emotion. And thoughts can trigger emotions, and also can trigger more elaborated feelings. So you see, the relationship between emotions and thoughts is not just one way. Sometimes the thought can also trigger an emotion. It's not always just the five senses that we have, the external stimulus. Sometimes the brain is the most powerful trigger of the emotion. And again, like I said, the emotion also causes very strong body sensations. Your body experiences it. It can be measured. And emotions doesn't vary much. And action tendencies actually can vary with both emotions and feeling as well. So like, if you're a Mowgli, for example, you were like very small when you grew up in a jungle. So you are cordial with the animals. You would not have the fear that people would normally do. But it depends on who is it, because if we are tagged with fear as a subconscious element, then that becomes part of it as well. Again, intensity, like I said, is also felt more strongly, again, because it's black and white, right? It's not subjective. And it's also a bit more temporary in comparison to feelings, because it's really up to our thinking brain again of how it wants to interpret or how it wants to, it's like this moving color that's always moving all the time. It's
Yes.
not a still. This is how feelings are, whereas emotions are very chalk block white, black and white. And yeah, one very important thing is emotions also is there to actually warn us or reward us. It serves that purpose of fight or flight. It's connected, very closely connected with our reptilian complex. Whereas feelings, again, is much more of what we make sense out of the emotion that is being experienced. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for letting me share that, Roxani. But we talked about it. So I think it's a great way to look at it, because like in my personal experience, when I apply this tree concept to my own emotional situation, I am able to control how I want to feel. So I may have like a very, very negative experience with somebody, and I will react at that moment, because we know we can't control emotion. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel sad. But how do you choose to react? So my go-to strategy is always just pause and just stop. Like stop. And when I say stop, you stop the thinking. You stop the brain from thinking. It takes a bit of practice, but you tell the brain that you become aware that what the brain is doing, right? I'm angry. Yeah, I'm disappointed right now. Like, yeah, I'm really resenting this person. I'm really, I don't like what is happening because this person, and then, the judgment comes in and things, your thinking brain kind of gets into that process. And then you go, okay, that's fine. You've set your piece, stop. Like, this is how I do it. Like, stop. Yes. You set your piece, stop. Deep breath. And then think about, why is this important right now? The coaching question. What makes this experience, emotion, extremely important? Let's take a moment and think about it. And then it'll be like, yeah, okay, it's not relevant. It's not important enough. Yes. Then I go back into normal situation, like nothing has happened. Because I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound like a bit gender biased as well, but I feel like that women tend to have, they say that women are from Mars, women are from Venus and men are from Mars. It's because of the way we are wired differently. And when I went through that one experience and I wasn't feeling a lot, I was just experiencing the emotion. I feel like, is that what it is like to have a man brain, to experience the emotion so strongly? And then maybe I know some men do feel, like a lot of men have feelings. They are very in touch with their feelings. But just having that ability to, recognize, I find it really fascinating that you can shut the emotions from creating more feelings in your head. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's very, very fascinating to stop that flow of disruptive illusion that we create, because it's all in here. Because I don't know if you've had this experience, but I do. Like, when sometimes something happens to me with a person, say I'm close to, especially in relationships, I feel that relationship has a lot of gray areas. So something happens and then you personalize some of those things in your head. You think that, because this person hasn't called me, there must be something that's going on. Your brain starts cooking things, like, the judgment, the feelings, and the story. We tell ourselves a story. And that is actually not true. The other person is probably not even thinking about that, but you are.
Yes, it happened many times. Yeah. And from the moment I start to recognize this, then I say, Roxani, now you think that this story is happening and the other person thinks like that. And then I say to myself, wait and see. Just wait and see the other person and then start thinking. And by starting doing this, then I recognize, oh my God, thank God I didn't say anything, because this is totally different than the other person.
Exactly.
And this is, it's good to start to observe ourselves and I like the technique. So we repeat the technique to our beautiful and amazing audience to pause, to try to pause. Stop think, to pause the brain, the thinking, going around and make these illusionary scenarios in the illusion dream of our perception of our beliefs, world. Stop, pause, and then try to find out, to see if this is extremely important or not. And then, of course, then you do the reflection questions. And yes, we have to find simple tools that will help and support us with our relationships, with our communication, to ourselves, and of course to the people around us. So, Aurawans, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
For your time, for availability, for everything, for sharing, for the smile, the eyes that were brightening and shining, for all this beauty that I have in front of me. Thank you so much.
Dear. It's a feeling is mutual. I also wanted to just add one thing, that it's so important to acknowledge, to allow the emotion to come as they are. Don't stop the emotion. I mean, I feel that we should not control our emotions. We should let them come and we should own them. And then we work from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
thank you for sharing.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank
you
so
for
much.
having me here.
Thank you, it's an honor. And for our beautiful audience, I will share details and information. If you want to reach our beautiful and amazing coach, Sachaphornskul, I hope I pronounce Sachaphornskul, Aurawan, and I will let information to follow her on the social media. And she's a pleasant and person. She knows her job, she's an expertise in her field, and she's willing to help and support you to your personal and professional journey. Thank you all and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Roxani. See you, everyone.
Thank you, my friend. Thank